Coming at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers podcast. I couldn't stay away, even on a Wednesday, because everything is breaking. Pets' heads are falling off. Even our own heads are falling off, or maybe Miguel Rojas' elbow. But what is going on, Clint Nation? Happy Weird Weenie Wednesday to you all. I don't know if we're going to stick with that one, but on today's show, I cursed the Dodgers once again by talking about something positive. So we'll talk about that. Yes, Miggy heading to the IL as the Dodgers make a flurry of moves today. So we'll talk about that. But the main reason we're here, it's time for some serious trade deadline talk. Kind of talked around it a whole lot over the last couple of days, but we're getting in on it, getting into the latest with Randy Arozarena, Garrett Crochet, Isiah, Kiner-Falafa, and a whole lot more on another edition of All Dodgers Live. Before we get into it, I got to tell you, my name is Clint Pasillas. Find me as Real FRG on the social media platforms, where sometimes I tweet about things, other times I don't, mainly on the X or whatever you want to call it. But I am a longtime baseball writer, sports editor. I've been covering these Dodgers for a long time here on the YouTube, and I do it now on my own YouTube channel. Consider hitting that subscribe button, mash the thumbs up button if you would not mind, if you want the Dodgers to go out and trade for all of the players that you want in LA. Thank you. We did hit 7,000 subscribers last week, so that is awesome. Let's push it to 8. Keep it going. If we get to 8,000 subscribers, I promise you they're going to get Crochet, Luis, Robert, Randy Arozarena, but you got to do it before Tuesday. Before we get into more of the stuff, I got to tell you, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit. That's anything. You can bet on anything from the Olympics, baseball, which we watch, of course, Formula One racing, and a whole lot more. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads while games are being played. If the game is over, there isn't one going on, head on over to their online casino, get in on a game of blackjack, get in on a game of poker, unwind with over 150 slot games right at your fingertips. Head to the website today, get in on the action, use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, and you get that 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online. This show starts here. The game starts here. The show starts here, guys. Let's get into it. Chat, I see you going off. Chris Frosaker in the chat. Bob Nightingale in the chat. Our friend Craig Osterberg in the chat. Grumpy45 Dino, of course. Our exalted leader, as some might call her, Diane Schroeder in the chat. Kenny Chung, what's going on? So, Eddie Romero with the question of the day there. Who's playing shortstop today? It's somebody that was last wearing a Giants uniform. So the news, Miguel Rojas does head to the injured list, which you would have assumed, because Dave Roberts just yesterday or just on Sunday said they're not worried about it. They're not concerned about that forearm that got him removed from Sunday's game early, but the forearm strain, or it is a forearm strain for Miguel Rojas. He heads to the injured list, and it kind of some mixed reviews coming from the ballpark, from the beat writers, the reporters there at the ballpark. One saying that Dave kind of downplayed the injury a little bit, doesn't seem too concerned, with another one saying that Miggy could be out for a little while. And of course, some people being like, oh my God, he's never coming back this season. And if he's not, that's a real problem, because the Dodgers go and sign Nick Ahmed, longtime Arizona Diamondback. Has not been good for a very, very long time, hitting just 232 with a weighted runs created plus around like 70, something like that this year. Not a very good ball player, good enough defender at shortstop, but if we're talking about a significant downgrade at shortstop, the Dodgers now have it, and now you wonder, does that put at like shortstop, does that put an infield new move? Trade deadline? Do they need to go hard in the paint for somebody at the trade deadline? So I did say just a second ago, or a little bit ago, I cursed the Dodgers once again. I should explain that, because I did earlier on the Twitter X machine, whatever you want to call it. I did point out, I did note, I got to find it, but I was like, hey, the Dodgers have been getting good news for once. Talking about all these guys coming back with Glasnow, with Clayton Kershaw tomorrow, Brusdar Graterol, you're getting good news from him. Mookie Betts fielding ground balls, swinging the baseball bat. Yoshinobu Yamamoto throwing a baseball, all this kind of stuff. Then you get to Miguel Rojas, heads of the injured list, could be out for a significant amount of time. Maybe not. Maybe they're just doing this now to nip it in the butt. But usually if it's not too much of a worry, I don't think they go out and get somebody like Nick Ahmed. I don't think they go out of the organization to pick up a shortstop. And I understand why. I understand there is a roster crunch for this team. As Man 5 Dodge says that Nick Ahmed's .232 batting average this season is like 5th on this team. And we'll go ahead and give that a meh because, Eddie Romero said, no way, Dave downplayed an injury? Yeah. Michael Carrillo says Dodgers should have just traded for Paul DeJong. I mean, they still can, right? DeJong is not gone yet. He's not off the market yet, is he? I haven't seen that unless I missed something while I get stuff happening. Diane, I thought there was a stream. There is a stream tomorrow, but this is an emergency stream today. Tomorrow, we got more coming at you live. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, the roster crunch is really why this team, I believe why this team went out and got picked up Nick Ahmed. I think they don't want to start the clock on somebody like, Lipsius, we know Lipsius, Andre Lipsius can't play defense. I don't think they want to start the clock on somebody like a Trey Sweeney. Alan Trejo is kind of filled in nicely at second base there for AAA Oklahoma City. So it's more so they don't have anybody that they really want to add on that 40-man roster to just give them another issue. Like Nick Ahmed is another Kevin Biggio type where they have no issues cutting him as soon as they need a roster spot. As soon as Mookie Betts come back, bye Felicia. As soon as if Max Muncy comes back, bye Felicia. Talking about Sweeney, we got MWG saying Sweeney barely batting .254 in the Pacific Coast League, but he has been hitting a lot better of late. Mike Boyer with some appreciation for the show. Appreciate you, Mike, for checking in. Mr. Classic, thank you very much. I was about to get to next. Another move, the move that opened up a 40-man roster spot today for Nick Ahmed is the subtraction of the fabled Ricky Vanasco, DFA'd today. Ricky Vanasco obviously didn't get a whole lot of opportunity with the Dodgers at the major league level. Was pretty decent. When healthy, was a pretty decent weapon at AAA for them. Did not get opportunity. I'm really surprised. I'm honestly surprised at how long he lasted on the 40-man roster, just because it's been an issue for most of the season. It's going to keep becoming more of an issue. It's going to stay more of an issue. As Monster says, what the fuck is Ricky Vanasco? He was a reliever. He is a reliever. He's not a Dodger anymore. I mean, he could pass through waivers. I doubt it. There are a lot of teams that are looking for any sort of relievers, especially relievers that come from LA. So maybe he is somebody that does find his way back or finds another job and actually gets an opportunity. Mike Carrillo says just a DFA Varland. He's coming soon. They're still going to need a roster spot for Clayton Kershaw. You're a couple weeks away from needing a roster spot for Bruce Dark Gratterall, so on and so forth. So again, this roster crunch, something that we were worried about in the offseason. I talked about a good amount in the offseason. It's now kind of really coming to fruition as we get into October, deep into October and all that. Danny Cortez pointing out not a whole lot of quality out of Vanasco when he did pitch for the Dodgers a little bit this year. He blew the game last time as I squirt stuff into my mouth here. Trying to bring the voice back a little bit. It's been a day, guys. It has been a day. So we do welcome back. Good news, we're talking about that. We do welcome back Tyler Glasnow as we talk a little bit about, just this stuff. And I will say this will be a shorter stream, but if we're talking about the health and injury updates, and guys, sound off in a little bit. I want to know who you want the Dodgers to get now, as they very clearly need an infielder. Before it was like, yeah, they most likely, but now you need an infielder, because if you don't have Max Muncy, you don't have Miguel Rojas, you have a lot of problems. But Noah Ortega in the chat saying Johan is the next DFA candidate. This team, I really do think they try to hold on to Johan Ramirez as long as they can. I think there's some sort of kinship there. That said, I'm not a massive fan. I don't think I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to shed very many tears if they move on from the Hugmeister himself. But give it time. Give it time. Another guy definitely on the outside, maybe on just on the fringe of keeping a roster spot, is Ryan Yarbrough. He's kind of hitting that point, much like Paxton, where he doesn't make a whole lot of sense on this team. And if somebody like little Rick Honeycutt Jr. there with Brent Honeywell, Jr. only because he's wearing number 40, if Honeywell can kind of keep doing what he's doing, being that long guy, getting you 2 or 3 innings, I like Brent Honeywell a lot more than I like what we've seen out of Ryan Yarbrough, particularly over the last 2 months. But Glasnow back today, does start for the Dodgers. We already talked about that yesterday. Landon Knack, as I expected, was the guy, the odd man out. He is optioned. Of course, he is still around. He's still on the team, somebody that could come back and help this team at some point. But good news on the Buehler front as well. All things checked out well. He starts Friday, AAA Oklahoma City. Could be a most likely 2-start rehab assignment before he's becomes an option again. That's where they kind of got to figure out what the deal is with Walker Buehler. And getting Buehler back, we're going to see Clayton Kershaw tomorrow. Maybe there is an opportunity for this team to spend some assets not at the front of the rotation if they do have some of these guys coming back. And I'm not saying they don't need to go out and get a Crochet or try to get a Tarik Skubal. Talk about those guys in a little bit. But if you get vintage, just call him vintage Walker Buehler, you're in a really good spot. Having that dude essentially take what Yoshinobu Yamamoto's spot was supposed to be in the postseason. And again, this is presuming there is not a Yamamoto coming back. But anyways, I don't want to bounce around too much on that. There's a whole bunch of speculation, but if the Dodgers don't need to get a starter, which they do, but if they don't need to get a starter, as Mike says, he doesn't trust Walker, which I fully agree. LC's just checking in. It's all good, baby. We're just starting the show here. We're just getting going, guys. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe if you wouldn't mind. Share the stream with friends on social media. We want to keep it going, keep it popping for y'all, or something like that. Whatever people say. The other bad news, and we talked just about the now. Did I ever get to? Oh, yeah, I did. I talked about how I was positive, and that was the bad thing. That was the bad problem. The other bad news, this is one I found out about through a source on Monday. I don't really report source material. Or at least I very seldom do, but the bad news, Kyle Hurt, of course, my friend D-Mac over at my old job did report that on the Twitter. He got the source as well today. Kyle Hurt undergoing the knife Tommy John surgery, out for the season, out for most, if not all of next season. Tough blow, devastating blow for the Dodgers, for Kyle Hurt. For me, because Kyle Hurt was one of those guys I absolutely loved. I absolutely saw as a lights out, like shut down weapon at the bottom of this, the back end of a bullpen. Eventually, maybe he's an option to be in there. I like where'd you go? Where'd you go? Man 5 Dodge says we really must have pissed off the baseball gods, and that is painfully clear with this team and where things are at, because again, our pets' heads just plainly do not stop falling off. But yeah, props to Doug for getting some public notoriety, some national notoriety there on the Kyle Hurt news there. Sucks for Kyle, though. Terrible news for Kyle. Somebody asking, though, for Francisco, when are we going to have D-Mac on the show? I did share that on our YouTube community page. I'm going to put it out on social. Unless something changes or he's not allowed to, Doug will be on the show live tomorrow night, 6 p.m., and we're previewing the postseason, the trade deadline. We're doing it. It's old school. It's a little Blue Heaven reunion here on the channel. So tube in again, 6 o'clock Pacific time. Yourself, myself, and your boy DMac_LA will be on the channel. But guys, let's talk let's talk rumors. Let's talk rumor mill. Are the Dodgers going to go out and trade for Randy Arozarena? Does this injury now to Miguel Rojas all of a sudden push that infielder need to the top of the food chain for this team? Is the rumored Garrett Crochet deal dying because some people are giving mixed reviews? So what are all the names that have been linked to LA? And honestly, I need you guys to pop in here. There's only so much bandwidth I have sometimes to check in on every single rumor and every single bit of information on this, because it's constantly evolving and everybody has different opinions and sources and all of that kind of stuff. But we're talking about the things that I happen to know about, that I happen to have taken some time to do some research on and all that. And the big one today is Randy Arozarena gaining steam. It seems like an Arozarena trade is gaining steam, as Chris Frosaker brings up the Paredes factor as well. Isaac Paredes, third base, definitely makes sense. He's got a nice bat. I think it profiles decently at Dodger Stadium. I would say, well, let's focus on the Randy first. Randy Arozarena, that's a guy that makes a lot of sense. You immediately get an everyday left fielder. You're kind of not bouncing back around. I know my friend Jeff Snyder will point out the fact that, that leaves Andy Pages in this scenario in center field, where it's by far not his best position. I still argue that this team needs a true center fielder. We're never going to have the perfect scenario in the outfield, whether they get somebody like a Luis Robert, who we'll talk about in a second, whether they get Randy Wood with Randy Arozarena. You're not going to have that perfect scenario where every position has a premium defender, unless they decide to go and move Mookie Betts to center field, which I've already kind of talked about a little bit on the channel. I don't think they go that route. I really don't, especially if they need now desperately, or they 100% need to put him back at shortstop if they end up in that scenario, but we don't need to go there. Arozarena, again, makes a lot of sense. Comes with team control. I think he's got 2 more years of team control. John pointing out, he does not play center field. So this is a left fielder only if you get Randy Arozarena, which is usually not what the Dodgers go for. They're not very big on, one position dudes. But, this is, I've said it a few times, this is not the perfect the perfect trade deadline for this team. Is not a bunch of perfect options out there for this team. So you got to get whatever you can get at some point. And if this dude is available, if Randy Arozarena is available, he's a game-changing bat in the postseason. 100% a game-changing bat in the postseason. And he's also about to start getting too pricey for Tampa Bay. So it's something where if you're able to get him, you can get him. You can probably get him kind of, not cheap. He's definitely going to be cheap. But people are saying, the Dodgers, the report is Dodgers are in on Randy. You're hearing that more than most other names. I mean, the other one is Garrett Crochet, where today we kind of got some mixed reports on. We'll talk about Crochet in a second. So who else could come in a deal? That's the important thing. I think the Dodgers need to explore blockbusters. They absolutely do, and that's what we talked about. Crochet and Luis Robert. We've talked before about Arozarena and Paredes. Paredes, like I was saying, there's some concerns under the hood. I don't know how well the bat plays at Dodger Stadium. Still, he would be a quality addition, much better than somebody like a Gavin Biggio, than a Kike Hernandez or whatever. So you're just always trying to make this roster better because we've seen what happens when they don't. We've seen that this is a team that needs to not get bounced in the first round. They need to not just make it to the World Series. They need to get to a Game 7 at the bare minimum. And if not, there's a problem. There's absolutely a problem. They didn't do enough. Monster says Biggio could move to bat boy, and it might be too well paying of a job for the kid. So the other name, Zach Eflin, another starter. I've talked a little bit about Eflin here over the last couple of days or couple of weeks or whatever. According to ESPN, he's somebody that, quote, can be had as Tampa Bay looks to trim payroll, which they would in a deal that moves Eflin and that moves Randy Arozarena. But now all of a sudden for the Dodgers, if you marry yourself to Eflin, you're kind of getting yourself into a tighter position. And Eflin is, as good as he is, isn't a Tarik Skubal. He's not a Roki Sasaki. He's not a Shohei Ohtani who will be plugging into the rotation next year. Mike Carrillo pointing out he is a more refined Gavin Stone, but I kind of like the Gavin Stone we have right now. And of course, there's a concern. There are concerns with Stoner, coming up on a high pitch count, a high innings count this season. Does he hold up? Does he hold up through the entire rigors of a regular season into the postseason without burning out? Seeing some folks talk about Kikuchi. We are going to talk Kikuchi in just a little bit, but there's your kind of Tampa Bay scenario. You can get 2 or 3 guys there and immediately fill 3 holes, but not with the most extremely premium of a talent, just because I think the Eflin part throws it a little bit. Still, if you're able to pull off that blockbuster and make it like what does that deal look like? Is that like an 8 for 3 deal? Like, how many players do the Dodgers need to send? Not that I care. I'm just wondering, like, what's the cost? I'll open the prospect checkbook. I'll make it happen. But I'm just wondering, like, is it 9? Is it 10? 10 for 3 if you're doing something like that. Noting that, again, the Dodgers are helping the Tampa Bay Rays a little bit by eating that payroll. And that's where the Dodgers can flex that financial might, which they love to do, and make the magic happen a little bit there with the Tampa Bay move. But let's talk Crochet. Let's talk Luis Robert. So one of the reports was the Dodgers are feeling the Crochet deal is feeling less and less likely. I guess David Vassegh today or last night on Dodger Talk said the Dodgers are kind of cooling on Crochet. I wonder if we're hearing more from the White Sox side trying to be like, oh no, they know, everybody knows how much other teams want Tarik Skubal, and we're hearing so much about Skubal. The only way he's being moved is if the Detroit Tigers are being absolutely blown away by the package. This is a little bit of gamesmanship. In my opinion, this is gamesmanship coming from Chicago, trying to drive up that price. They know half the league that thinks they have a postseason chance. They want Garrett Crochet. The Dodgers, of course, have been linked to him for quite some time. Hey, the Dodgers have already reportedly made an offer to the White Sox for Crochet. So, again, according to Vassegh, the report was cooling, and that was kind of shorthanded to me from our friend Showtime LA in the Dodgers, All Dodgers Discord channel. Ken Rosenthal, co-worker, not co-worker with Foul Territory. He talked about him today as well, talking about Crochet in his kind of What I'm Hearing newsletter or update letter, whatever you want to call it. But what he's hearing from industry sources is that the White Sox are going to hold on to Garrett Crochet and look to move him in the offseason, where he has a full season of a higher innings count. Again, this is the first time in his life that Crochet has started. By the end of the season, we're looking at, if he keeps on this every 5th or 6th day regimen or routine, we're looking at, I don't even know, maybe 160 innings or something like that, 170 innings, which would be insane because the previous 3 years combined, I think it's 3 years combined, we're looking at like 107 innings total in his career, something like that. So I could understand Chicago trying to hold on to him, try to maximize a return in the offseason, because you can get some insane returns in the offseason for players that have team control. Look at what the Padres got for Juan Soto from the Yankees this past winter. But Mike Rio saying there's no way he has that many innings in him. Yeah, that is a concern, and that's one of the things we talked about. Was it on this channel? Was it on Dodgers Territory? I forget where, but the team, I think it was me and Casey Porter talking about it. You need to be open to the idea of getting a Crochet and potentially having him in a bullpen role, which I don't know that you want to spend a lot of money or spend a lot of prospects, to acquire a guy to be your starter that's eventually going to be in a bullpen role. This is where it gets a little, concerning, and maybe where Crochet makes a little bit less sense for the team. That said, Other insiders are saying not so fast to the idea of the White Sox holding on to him. A lot of people are saying, people are talking, a lot of them are saying that it's 100% chance the White Sox are moving Crochet this summer, this month, at this deadline, because they want to maximize the deal, and teams are more desperate at this time of year because there's no free agents that they can go out, or it's much harder, much more difficult to pivot when we're talking about a deadline. So Alden Gonzalez, ESPN's Alden Gonzalez, of course, he covers the Dodgers for ESPN. The report from him is that Crochet is, quote, at the top of the Dodgers list, which meshes with what we've heard a whole bunch over the last month, maybe month plus. Keeps getting louder as more players, more pitchers keep getting hurt, mainly when Glasnow went down, but we know Glas was never really actually hurt. ESPN's also Jesse Rogers, who's more of a national reporter for them, brought up one National League executive saying Crochet to the Dodgers feels inevitable, which we like to hear, but what's the cost? What's the cost? John Heyman also said it's pretty likely that Crochet moves. And I think with all of that, most likely, those are the moves that are going to, or he is going to be moved. Whether it's the Dodgers, we don't know. And if it comes with a Luis Robert, you haven't heard as much about the Lubob factor in recent weeks or recent days or whatever. I like Luis Robert. I like the fact that he is a true center fielder, but he comes with a lot more issues. I talked about Paredes having these kind of problems, issues under the hood. You look under Lubob's hood, there's a lot of issues as well. You also see a burly, beefy boy, but there are issues there with Luis Robert, particularly on the health front. He's had a hard time staying on the field over the course of his career. Kenny Chung talking about Nate Eovaldi and Tarik Skubal, not even realistic. Maybe, I would say more so Skubal is not realistic. Hold on, I got to do this. Somebody get that. Cut that. All right, let's talk Tigers. Let's talk Skubal. I still feel, I agree. If there's anybody that we've heard on the rumor mill over the last couple of weeks that is the most unlikely to be moved, that is Tarik Skubal. I think it's just bad business for Detroit if they move Skubal. I think it's a slap in the face of Tigers fans if they move Tarik Skubal. Not right now. Now is not the play. And next, I'm going to go with what Kenny Chung is saying. I've been saying it. This is what Kenny Chung said. Like I've been saying for months, Flaherty has got to be the target. And you guys who remember me, we did a whole month of trade deadline talk on Blue Heaven last year. We did a whole trade deadline day where all I was on is Jack Flaherty, and I like that. Monster says Flaherty is a rental, which the Dodgers need. Another thing I like, because if you're getting married to another pitcher, or to a pitcher that is going to be here for another year or two, they need to be ace-level material with how this Dodgers rotation is lining up. Straight up, it needs to be an ace. So the only guy I really would like, or the only two, would be a Garrett Crochet, because he's still young, he's still moldable, he's got some years of control, and Tarik Skubal, which right now is the far and away front runner for the AL Cy Young Award. So you get those type of guys. But with Jack Flaherty on a one-year deal, this is where I was saying, I'm less in on Zach Eflin, just because you're stuck with him when there's a whole room of a wealth of possibilities in the offseason. Particularly Roki Sasaki, and if this team does want to bring Walker Buehler back and all that, which I understand is feeling less and less likely unless he just absolutely goes off. But rentals is what we're looking for. Diane says, love rentals as long as they're not like Max Scherzer. And yeah, Max Scherzer, thankfully, not on the market. He already said he would not waive his no trade clause, so he's not somebody that is available even slightly. But yeah, Jack Flaherty, going back, we talked a week or two ago, or maybe more, about, does this team now need two starters? I don't think so at this point, especially with Glas back, with Kershaw returning tomorrow. And I'm going to reserve myself to letting me be positive, letting me feel excited about Clayton Kershaw. I think Kershaw with a rebuilt shoulder is not going to be vintage He's not going to be old school Kershaw and all that, but I think we're going to like what we see out of Kersh. And it's not going to be something where if he is one of the starters in the postseason, we're not going to hate it. We're not going to desperately hate it like we did when he was starting game 1 last year. Even though the numbers were good, the outliers, the frightenedness was there, the issues, the lack of velocity, the fact that he was throwing a changeup as much as he was. There were signs. But with Flaherty, you can get one guy. You give yourself somebody that's not made to be your frontline guy, but can still give you some innings that where we know the kid can go off. And the idea of getting Jack Flaherty working with the Dodgers, anytime you can bring somebody to the Dodgers, a pitcher to the Dodgers, it's as long as it's not Lance Lynn, it's an exciting prospect, we'll say. We've seen them work some magic with dudes, usually dudes that have had a lot of struggles over the course of their career. Not to say Flaherty hasn't had his fair share of struggles. After he was traded last year, I think he was, if I remember correctly, he kind of went into dog shit mode for the Orioles, but having a nice year right now, and he's somebody who could be your 4th guy, your 5th guy, or could even slot into a bullpen role, give you some length in a game, give you one shutdown inning maybe, and I think anybody that comes to LA, they understand this is a team that is looking to win right the F now, so they should be open. They need to be open to any roles. And I don't think Jack Flaherty is maybe he is, maybe I don't know him, but I don't think he's a prima donna enough to be like, no, I need to be starting game 2 of the postseason or whatever. It's like, well, then bye Felicia to you. But so there's your kind of Tiger situation. Those are the ones we've heard the most. Things have changed in who we know is going to be available, or who we know more so there's going to be sellers or buyers at the deadline. One team that has entered the seller fray is the Chicago Cubs. We talked a little bit about it today on Dodgers territory, I think, if I remember correctly. We talked a little bit about it as well this week. A new name, Dave Vassegh, courtesy, shout out to our friend Showtime LA for bringing it up, because he listens to Dave Vassegh, where I don't have to do that anymore. Love DV, it's not my flavor to have to listen to Dodger talk particularly, but a name that Vassegh mentioned, which now all of a sudden makes just so much more sense, fits the roster so much more. Not ideally, because ideally the guys he would be filling in for are not hurt. But Nico Hoerner, of course, Nico Hoerner came up as a shortstop for the Chicago Cubs, was bumped to second base as they signed Dansby Swanson, who, of course, Swanson, elite defender at shortstop. So it makes a lot of sense to kind of make that move, make that shift. But Nico Hoerner is somebody who can play some second base, which he likely would not be doing in LA, but he's a shortstop option. He's played some third base in his career. It has been a while, and that's where I get, if I'm picking making the perfect infield trade candidate, it's going to be somebody that can play third base. It can play a very, very good third base. I'm sure Nico Hoerner can get there. I'm sure he can figure it out. But what have I said the last couple of weeks as well? I don't want somebody that you need a turnkey solution in these positions, in these situations, particularly when it comes to pitching. You don't want to buy the car and need to replace the brakes or need to change the radiator. Why I always go to the radiator, I don't know. We don't have a lot of radiator issues here in Southern California, but still, we'll throw that out there. DC says Ian Happ, another name. Ian Happ we've talked about. Thank you, DC. Producer Kevin on the channel here as well has mentioned Ian Happ as somebody that he would really like to see. Ian Happ, I'm less enamored about. I'm less excited about Ian Happ. Nothing against him. If you're going that route, get me Randy Arozarena instead. Different batting profiles, obviously, one left, one right. But get me Randy instead. Ian Happ, though, if it is a package situation, if you're able to get Happ and you're able to get Nico Hoerner at the same time, you're good. I personally don't want Ian Happ, but if that's the situation, I think it's not terrible, and I think it's still that's better than what they. If the postseason were to start today, I feel a lot better about them having Happ and Hoerner over Kevin Biggio, Kike Hernandez, Jason Hayward, CT3, those type of situations. I will say, and I think I saw somebody earlier put it in the chat, I almost want to ban the word Cody Bellinger. No, Cody Bellinger is not going to be traded. If he is, he's not coming back to LA. I don't want Cody Bellinger back in LA. That was a good time. We had a good run. Don't get back together with your ex. Also, he's owed a lot of money. He's not opting out of that deal. He's got a couple more years where I think he's got like, a couple of years of $20 million, $25 million or whatever. It's just that's a no from me for Dog there. And Elisheva Jones says as well, no on Bellinger. It's not a good move. Let's get a little out of the box here. Think a little outside the bun. Francisco bringing up some D-Mac, which I haven't heard a lot of D-Mac-isms in a while. So I'm looking forward to having D-Mac on the channel tomorrow. Diane also a big-time no on Cody Bellinger, which, of course, I know that, Diane. We chat. I know you. I feel you. I don't think I'm having post-nasal drip, but I'll work on that. Thank you, Kenny Chung. I'm going to try to get myself back to tip-top shape. I'm also just dehydrated, and it keeps bugging me with my throat and my voice and all that. But we'll be back. We will be back. I was saying something, but I'm going to give up on it and move on. Let's talk a newer solution, a newer option, a newer outside the bun situation or option. Not situation. Option. IKF, Isiah Kiner-Falafa, however you want to say it. He's somebody that is now reportedly available. I forgot who put the rumor out today, but IKF is somebody that could be had. Hold on, I want to double check who's the one who was initially by Robert Murray. Robert Murray is one of those guys who's kind of quickly become one of my trusted dudes. Of course, he works with Fansided. I put him right up there. Jeff Passan, anything Passan tweets is gospel, because he's fed that stuff. So you go Passan, then you go Ken Rosenthal, and then below that it's somebody like Robert Murray, and then a couple steps down it's Bob Nightingale. It's John Heyman. It's not Jason Hayward. He's not really into the rumors, but then it's John Heyman, and then after that, anybody else? No, anybody else? I'll give. Let me see somebody else I trust tweet about it first. But IKF is intriguing to me. He's definitely intriguing to me. And Toronto has a few other options, a few other names, including one I know somebody was putting in the chat for a good little bit. I'm talking about Yusei Kikuchi. But I like Kiner-Falafa because he has a lot of defensive versatility, and he is a premium defender, kind of wherever you plug him in. You want him in center, he's got you there. He played almost, or did he win a Gold Glove at shortstop? He was playing Gold Glove, slow it down, shortstop at one point. He can catch, came up as a catcher. He can play some third base where you can literally play anywhere. Plus, I just like, it's IKF. Like, I would hate to have to type out Isiah all the time. I get the kind of dyslexic fingers here and there. But I like IKF. I think he's somebody where if we've talked over the last couple of weeks, maybe even month about a Justin Turner, I'm out. I'm out on JT. I saw a stat today. I think I retweeted it as well. He's like 0 for something, 0 for 45. Is that what it was? Here it is. Thomas Nestico tweeted, Justin Turner has faced 45. I think I could actually show this. And does it? There it is, right there. Look at that. He's faced 45 middle four-seam fastballs this season and has not got a hit on any of them. That's a little bit of a lot of a problem in my opinion there. But so JT, not an option. JT, you're out on JT. So if all of a sudden we're looking for somebody who can give you some defensive versatility and a little bit of a bat. He's not a hitter. He's straight up not a hitter. Obviously, he's no Isaac Paredes. He's no Randy Arozarena. But he would still be like the 5th best hitter by average on this team if they went out and got him, something like that. Where's let's see, where's Isiah? I looked him up earlier. I forgot the numbers. 292. He's hitting 292, 758 OPS right now. That's something where he has to play some shortstop. Take him over Nick Ahmed. Take him over Kevin fucking Biggio in a heartbeat. So I really like IKF. I'm going to throw that out there. And if you combine him with not Bo Bichette, I do not think the Jays trade Bo Bichette. And if they do, there was a small point. There's a small point in time where I wanted him in Dodger blue. You look at the numbers, you look at the season, you look at the bat, his baseball card, Baseball Reference. It has a lot of good numbers, a lot of really, really good seasons for the kid over the course of his career, but he's fallen on extremely hard times. So me, out on Bo Bichette. But if it is IKF and it's Yusei Kikuchi, Chris Bassett's another name that's there, and I think Bassett also is on an expiring deal, if I'm not mistaken. That's you're getting lower on the totem pole of names that you want. But if the goal is to get like this combination, get this blockbuster move, get like 2 players for a combination of 5 prospects or something like that, then that's a move you can do. It's a move you can pull off. Chris Bassett has 1 more year of team control, so you're a little less intrigued by that. But it's not like the Dodgers can't make some moves in the offseason. So the last name I wanted to bring up, and again, this was always supposed to be a shorter show. Obviously, we're about 20 minutes to first pitch, so I appreciate you guys hanging out on this unexpected, lightly announced emergency stream where we talk about Miguel Rojas being hurt, and we talk about some of these true trade deadline options, and we'll dive into this a much more, myself and Doug, much more tomorrow, 6 p.m. here on the channel. If he doesn't come on the channel, you guys have to yell at him, or something happened, or he exploded or whatever. But already talked to him, already confirmed. It should be all good to go. But the last name I want to bring up is not a fielder, not a starter. It is a reliever, though. If the Dodgers are suddenly worried about Evan Phillips, which I talked about it on Dodgers Territory earlier, and I'll throw that out there. I haven't plugged that yet. You guys know me. I'm a big-time Gavin Lux truther, lifelong Gavin Lux truther. Everybody here on the channel, just go along with it. I'm winking. Gavin Lux joined the show today. It was a good time. Very nice conversation with the kid. Check it out if you have not. I'll link it in the description of this video. I think I got to update. The link is still to the Dave Roberts interview we did a couple weeks ago. But check it out. Talk to Gavin Lux. But MGW or MWG, sorry, that is the dyslexia talking there, not Mason Miller. What I'm looking at, if they are worried about Evan Phillips, which I was getting to, I'm not necessarily extremely worried about Evan Phillips. I think he figures it out. He's been solid, and I appreciate the love. I saw you talking about it, you and Diane here in the chat, Elisheva. I appreciate the love for the Lux interview. I appreciate Gavin also being a pros pro, because him and I have had our differences of opinion over the years, for sure. And I appreciate the kid coming on. Perfect time to have him on the show for sure, amid the hottest streak and where he's kind of just figured out how to put the first half of the season behind him. But the name I'm talking about is Miami closer Tanner Scott. We got to look. It's not Craig Kimbrell, Brian. I'm sorry. We're not getting back to the crumble era of Dodger baseball. But Tanner Scott, so damn good. So damn good. Miami is known to be looking to move him. And he fits any role. If he's their closer, if he's taken over for Anthony Banda, who, credit where credit is due. Anthony Banda has been electric for this team. But if you can find a way to improve on all the fringe parts, you replace him, or you have 3 lefties in the bullpen. It's not that big of a deal with Vesia, with Tanner Scott in there, and with Anthony Banda. You have a lot of options. You have a lot of optionality. You can get, bring in one guy to get that final out of an inning or something like that, and hopefully not have to deal with the 3-batter rule that ruined Adam Kolarik's career. But Miami is said to be, looking to trade him. They are looking to rebuild. They need to restock. They need to reload that farm system. So if you're able to get something for somebody like Tanner Scott, Dodgers should be able to find a couple of guys to throw their way and get somebody immediately to help this team. The timing of some of these injuries have absolutely been ass. Even like Kyle Hurt, who of course was initially acquired from the Miami Marlins. If he was somebody who was healthy and they needed to trade him or something like that. Anyways, I digress. I'm not going to get into trying to piece together like actual potential trade. That's just a waste of time. But final thoughts on this whole thing. For me, and it's still fluid. I'll have more of a defined or definitive, like my absolute haul of an offseason or not offseason of a trade deadline, the perfect trade deadline, the absolute coup of a deadline. I still say it's going to be Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert. I really do. And then you also bring in Tanner Scott. And I'm sorry, I'm now all of a sudden an Isiah Kiner-Falafa truther. Bring me those dudes, Crochet, Robert, Scott, and an IKF. Go home, go bring a title home in October. That's where I'm at. I think that, again, that's an absolute coup of a deadline. Is that a reality? I mean, sure. Maybe. Probably not. My tier 3, and somebody we didn't talk a whole lot about, or my tier 2, sorry, because it kind of mixes. And I don't think they're going to be trading him because let's double check where we're at in the standings. Standings are going to drive everything. Like I've said for a few weeks, and all of a sudden I've become this guy where I've like, I know how much I don't listen to the show as much, but I know Doug was always very heavy. I've been telling you, I've been saying this or whatever. So apparently I've become that guy, and I apologize a lot, guys. But I have been saying a lot. The team you want to root against is the Texas Rangers because they have a number of guys that just make a butt ton of sense for this team. One guy being old friend, Nate Eovaldi. Bring back Nate. You know he's a postseason performer. You've seen it firsthand what he can do in the postseason. He's only gotten better. He's only won another World Series since he beat your team back in 2018. But the problem is with the Rangers, 3.5 games behind the top spot in the AL West. You know, if you're that close, if you're in striking distance, teams don't want to sell. They're not going to sell. I don't think the Rangers sell. I think they're going to pick up, one or two arms and let the rest of their team continue to get healthy and get on the field and perform. And they're going to be right there in the mix with the Mariners, with the Astros in the AL West, and, of course, in that wild card hunt. But if for some reason they wanted to go crazy, as I agree, they may not make the postseason. I agree with MWG that they're more likely to not move Nate Eovaldi, but he would be just a lovely welcome addition to the front end of this rotation. So, anyways, with that, I got Nate Eovaldi with Randy Arozarena, and I'm going to keep going Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott's my guy. I was not very high on the need for a reliever for a while, but I decided I'm all in on a reliever, and if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Tanner Scott or bust. That's it. The only way you go for anybody is Tanner Scott. And then an infielder. Is it going to be Nico Hoerner? Is it going to be IKF in that one? Of course, they're not going to get Nate Eovaldi, so let's look at tier 3. Tier 3 of my coup, my perfect or third perfect trade deadline for this team is, one, for this to go away, which I got to look at what Kenny said and try to fix myself. But Randy Arozarena, and this is the one that's probably the most likely. Randy Arozarena, Jack Flaherty, throwing in Tanner Scott again for fun, and then it's going to be IKF or Nico Hoerner. You got to get one more guy. You got to give yourself an option there in the infield, and somebody that can play a little bit of everywhere, which both of those guys could do, goes a long way for this team. Especially if you don't know if Max is coming back, you don't know the situation with Miguel Rojas now and his forearm, which is a tough situation, and that's where the Dodgers find themselves. The Dodgers find themselves still needing some help in the outfield. You want one kind of bat first and glove first. You need that perfect player. If you're getting an outfielder, it needs to be a center fielder. But if not, Randy is just fine. We'll make it work. You need at least one starter. I think you don't need to get more than one starter. Personally, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm feeling on it right now. And then you need a Max Muncy backup plan. And maybe a Kevin Biggio / Kike Hernandez replacement. I'm not high on Kike Hernandez. I'm just not. But after talking to him today, I'm a little more bought in on Gavin Lux. Haven't figured it out, guys. A little bit. We'll leave on. We'll take a few more comments and then we'll get the hell out of here. Let's see. Pika Peep really wanting James Outman. Is this Dasha? Is this Dasha Outman? I feel like the Dodgers failed if James Outman is in the outfield in the postseason. They failed right now if James Outman is in the outfield. Something went wrong. It's not anything against him. Like, there's just somebody. There needs to be somebody better. There absolutely needs to be a better person in that situation or in that spot. What was I saying? Oh yeah, more of the comments we're getting. Man 5 Dodge, we like this one. Hold on, let me turn the soundboard back on so I can give you a clap. So do I make you Hoerner, baby? I'm sorry. I don't know why I did like the voice to it. Pika Peep saying you don't give up on talent like that. And it's not about giving up. It's just about this is not the season. I don't think this is the season for James Outman. You retry it again next year. If you can find a way, if all things go well, I don't know that there's another open opportunity for him at the big leagues this year. I just don't see that opportunity. This isn't me crapping on him. It's just a reality of a roster crunch and them needing a certain amount of infielders and a certain amount of catchers and Shohei Ohtani taking up a roster spot at DH and all this. That's just where it's at. It's not that I would love. I said months ago, I'm doing it again. I said months ago that the best version of this team would have James Outman in center field having, figured it out. But he didn't. He hasn't. Maybe just, the sophomore year, the stumble, maybe he bounces back next year and he can still be a situation. Kenny Chung thinks he's out. He's done with the organization, is Outman. He's also somebody that could be very much traded. Him, Andy Pages, if teams are looking for major league ready talent, it could be Pages. If there's anybody on the major league roster right now that's kind of, younger on the younger side, I think that if there's one player that's untouchable, I'm not going out on a limb and saying it's Gavin Stone. You can't trade Gavin Stone because he's right now technically your number 2 starter, so you don't move on from somebody like that. But that's fair. Pika Peep, I appreciate the love and support for James Outman. He's a good kid. He's a good ball player. He's a born and bred Dodger that they worked very, very hard on, and he himself worked hard to figure out his game, rebuild his game from the what he called a caveman swing back in the day. But he's just not ready for prime time this season. Definitely not this season. Metabolic Holic, our friend, talking about the Christian Yelich back surgery. Tough blow for them. First place Brew Crew, the first place Milwaukee Brewers, losing their big time rebound star there in Yelly in left field. So that adds another name, another team to the mix that could be looking for something. Could be looking for a piece. Could be looking for an outfielder. Don't come looking for Randy Arozarena, Milwaukee Brewers. I know where you work. Just throwing that out there. Noah Ortega dropping us with a predicting Randy Arozarena, Jack Flaherty, Tanner Scott, which was my tier 2. But Noah always wants more. Says, I want more. Friedman is not going to overpay, but I want him to. This could be the trade deadline where Andrew overpays a little bit. I think he has to. I think they understand the importance of this season and the embarrassments of particularly the last 2 postseasons. 2021, everything that could go wrong went wrong, as we all remember, up to and including like the final, nail in the coffin with JT blowing out his hamstring essentially in the final game, or in his final game in Dodger blue, and the Dodgers running out of lineup that had Andy frickin' Burns in the starting lineup, and I think Billy McKinney and no Max Scherzer to be found. So Anyways, first pitch is coming up. We get to see Tyler Glasnow coming back. So let's find. I'm gonna find one more, and then I'm gonna walk on that one. Jack, walking out on Jack. It's a Jack walk off. Guess not. Jack says we need an established center fielder. Can't have Outman plays from last season. Luis Robert will be him. If it's Lou Bob, we're in a good spot. I like what Lou Bob has done. I like what he can do to this for this organization, for this team. Got to stay healthy. And I think he does, it'll help being here as opposed to being with arguably the worst run organization. Third worst run organization. Worst run, of course, Colorado Rockies. Second worst, Miami Marlins. How do you let Kim Ng leave? Dumb as hell. Third worst, easy money. Shit, can we have 4 top worst run teams? Because we got to get the A's in there. Anyways, enough about that, guys. It's time to get the hell out of here. I'll tell you again, check out Dodgers Territory. We welcomed Gavin Lux onto the show. You get to see me, the guy who always says what people think are bad things about Gavin Lux. I'm just trying to put reality out there. I think he needed some help. He needed some change, and he talked about that. He talked about how his swing has gotten better, or how his mental approach to his game, his offense has gotten better. So check it out. Very much enjoyed talking to Gavin. It's been a while since I've done an interview with him, so appreciate him coming on the channel. I'll link it again below. I have a playlist of all the Dodgers Territory shows also here on my YouTube channel. Again, tomorrow, tube in 6 o'clock. My friend Doug McCain joins the channel for the first time in a few months, and it's always fun talking trade deadline with Doug McCain. It is our happiest time of the year. So as of right now, as of today, our trade deadline conversation will continue, but it's going to be more in written form because a lot of us are moving over to the Discord chat, which is for our Patreon or YouTube members, supporters. So if you guys are looking to get in on the fun, join up. It supports the channel. It supports me, but it also gets you something. You get to hang out. We're building a community. It's just $5 a month, which is much less than a Dodger dog. And you get to, talk baseball. I answer your questions there too about trade deadline and all that kind of stuff. So check it out. Again, patreon.com/realfrg, or just click that join button, which is about here on YouTube. $5 a month. Pretty easy. Or if you can't, that's all cool. We appreciate you either way. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the great questions and the comments, hanging out here on this emergency deadline talking episode. Important for knowers of the channel. We passed that 7,000 subscriber mark. So what's in the box? I'm going to be wearing it tomorrow. Let's try to pretend we're big, strong. Oh, look at it. Does this play well for the audio side? Does it play well? I'm just taking out of the fucking 7,000 subs. I had to do it for y'all. Thank you again to our Patreon supporters already. Thank you guys for the YouTube members. You guys are awesome. You keep the lights on quite literally, and you warm my heart. What else? Shout out to the mods, doing a great job as you always do. All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. I am Real FRG on all the things. Links are in the description. Hope we earned a subscribe on the way out. That's another thing that's completely free that shows you care. It really does. Hit the thumbs up as well. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye.